And so earlier than of the moment of the meditation, since the moments of the meditation of everyone else was meditating at the same time, and so at that same time of the intent of number 2 of instructions of state your intent to use the meditation as a tool to speed up the process towards the disclosure in the event was, so I was putting my finger at the words and trying, so I was of living of other than of electronic artificial machine stimulations of like sensation of hearing of words and or any other like sensation and or of a body muscle movement. So I was of a simpleness. But and of moments of earlier when I first saw the text of instructions, so I was a visualization of whatever it is, of just the words, that it's not that stuff that it's supposed to be. So that there was a plasma strangelet, but I probably wouldn't see it or be of it if what happened was or what is wanted was happening. So it really wasn't anything that I was sure of what to visualize of, except I was more of an obviousness of what was of communicated of earlier, of me and of everybody meditating, and of Earth, and of all the sentient beings on the surface of the planet and below the surface of the planet and throughout the solar system, and of a harmoniness of all beings involved in the Earth situation, of a purposeness and of a manifestingness, of the disclosure in the event, of a good, of human of living. And I lived of like sensation, I lived a sensation, a sight of words, and so of a readingness of instruction of number 4 of words of visualize all other exotic technologies being exposed and then removed effortlessly. And the visualization of earlier than of the moment of when of earlier than the moment of everyone was meditating, and though it was a moment of I was of first sensation of the communication of the instructions, was I was sure of like many TVs that were near me were of news channels or other channels, so that there was communications of words of what of a human of doing and when of a human of doing and how, and where of a human of doing and of living of action of slackening and tensing of muscles, so of sure of what they'll do of earlier and later than of other and or of slackening and tensing of muscles, so of their so people paid tax to the government are sure of what will happen of them, sense of what they're trying to do, and or so that their brains will be sure of what they'll do, even if there's body muscle movements caused with electronic artificial machine simulations of a moment, or there's like sensations, so of a strangingness of them, or of a weirdingness of them, or of a harmoniness of them, so of other than of an obviousness of, as if for like, of other than of electronic artificial machine simulations of body muscle movements and or like sensations. And that the news channels would be instructions or many communications of words of next of other than words, and of at and on, and of near, and of other than of near of other the words. And people whom are of news media would be saying words of what to do and what of doing. And there would be maybe a music channel of like what the arts channel is, and there would be a music sheet of like the notes of earlier, like next of other notes on a music sheet, but that there would be a person or a human who was communicating words at those moments, or that there was a communication of words underneath the music notes of like a music sheet of paper, but on a TV screen. So people would be sure of what the timings are of earlier and later than of other actions, so of living of other than of electronic artificial machine simulations, of body muscle movements, so of food and water and shelter. And since so many people are of learning and of doing the actions, so of living of other than of electronic artificial machine simulations of body muscle movements and like sensations, so food and water and shelter, so all the other exotic weapon technologies being told of and communicated of and have removed effortlessly, since so many people are of an obviousness of so of living of since there was so much effort and action done, so many humans are living of moments of electronic artificial machine simulations, so of food and water and shelter, of moments of other than of electronic artificial machine simulations of body muscle movements, so of other than of food and or water and shelter. So of the effortlessly was of a quickness and a fastness and a sureness of an obviousness of an efficienciness and effectiveness. And I was of sensation of sight of instruction of number 4 of words of visualize full disclosure massive intel releases about the extraterrestrial presence and secret space programs through the mass media. And I was of sensation of more of the communications of words of the news and of what is at people's cell phones and computers, of texts and the sounds happening from people's computers and from people's electronic artificial machines, of connected of other computers, of internet. So of intel or learning of words and of the extraterrestrial presence or of the creatures of other than of human, of living, and of the secret space program. So of the so of people of Mars, of planet of Mars and planet of Venus, and of technologies that happened, of the healing frequency technologies of people of Mars and Venus, of frequencies through a human body, so of space is created, so of the cells of the human of growing into the spaces created, since of frequencies going through the human body, so of a human of healing, of a technology of a fastness and a quickness and a sureness, of an obviousness, of efficienciness and effectiveness, of regrowing, or of body parts, or of a youthness, of sense of moments of earlier, or rather of later than of an earlier, of an oldness, and of missing body parts, or they were harmed and there was pieces of them missing, or pieces of them were at an honor of other than just as a matter of other than of them, rather than of them. And so I was of and now though I lived a few moments later than of the meditation, since I was of sensation of YouTube videos of what many people put on YouTube video titles of like ghosts, or like phantoms, or creepy stuff, and creepy creatures, or like haunted places, and that was, and much of it's really extraterrestrials or creatures, like the strange creatures like the ghosts or other creatures like that look like they're like strangingness, like they're like almost, some people would say like they're other than natural, and they're of like of deformedness, or they're like other than of natural evolution, or of an evolution as if for like their evolution happened over like thousands of years rather than maybe like a dozen years or so. And that many of these abandoned places that are on the YouTube videos are like haunted places, and that people think is really creepy or weird, or that they saw something, or that people would be out in the woods, or they would get lost someplace, and then they would hear like weird sounds, and it's really like abandoned, or creatures that they were genetically modified, or that they were left there, or that they escaped, or rather left from a machine, or from a shelter, and so they're really just trying to live, and they'll go to many places where there aren't many people, but they'll scavenge and scrounge around for food at night in the dark, or in the daytime where there's not many people is the places where they'll go. And so the many abandoned hospitals and abandoned shelters and abandoned schools and many places where people say is haunted is really like this extraterrestrial presence. And so I didn't think much of the extraterrestrial presence of earlier moments of the meditation, of what I was of normally of sensation, or regularly of sensation of, and sense of other than of an obvious, of what I've heard of people whom are of communicating of the disclosure, like people whom are doing the radio talk shows, or the internet talk show, or internet word speech shows,